up on the roof. 'Cause on the roof's the only place I know where you just have to wish to make it so. Let's go up on the roof. Yep, we sang that song in elementary school, and now I'll be singing it for the rest of my life. Cat head, cat butt, cat body. Yeah! Alright, welcome to 5-Year Club video number 39, 13 times 3. Hope that's lucky. Today I wanted to go over the poll results of a poll that I started running, I guess, about 5 days ago on a whim because Facebook has that poll feature, and Cat's gonna hop in my lap and disturb everything. And the poll said, would you rather retire on $2,000 a month or work a job for $4,000 a month? And that's take-home pay. So that's, accounting for taxes and everything else. And I thought the results of the poll were going to be, well, that's really exciting. I thought the results of the poll were going to be 80% would take the $2,000 a month and 20% would keep working. And I was so wrong. I mean, I really enjoy being wrong because it teaches me things. And that's exactly why I wanted to do the poll. But yeah, 37%, not that many, wanted to take the money, and then 63 wanted to keep working. Although if you remove my vote, then that's going to come out to basically 1/3 wanted to retire, and then 2/3 wanted to continue working. This surprised me, and I'm not exactly sure what to make of it. But the reason why I did this specific poll, these specific questions, is because I wanted to understand, what is it that people want? Do they want to own their time, or do they want to spend more money? Are people thinking about the money, or are they thinking about the freedom? And I think they're probably thinking about the money. It's obviously a superficial poll and a small number of people, but that's what it looks like. And so, just a little bit more background. Why did I pick these numbers? Well, I estimated $2,000 a month was something that you could totally live on in most parts of the U.S. It'd be trickier in big cities, but it would be a comfortable lifestyle, certainly by international standards, although it would not be luxurious. And $4,000 a month can give you a comfortable lifestyle, and even in a big city, but it is hard to retire early on $4,000 a month because it's just hard to save that much money, especially if you're in one of the big cities. Also, one was just double the other, and I like the kind of weird symmetry there. It's interesting to me that $4,000 gets twice as many people as $2,000. I wondered if there was any relationship there. I just thought that was a funny result. So what I wanted to do with this video is to discuss my thoughts around this question, around what these choices mean, and to kind of give you some background and a framework for thinking about it. And hopefully some people who watch this video, who answered the poll or saw the poll, will view the poll a little differently because they'll have more information about what's going on after I finish this video. So let's look at it by the numbers. All right, $2,000 a month, that's equivalent of $24,000 a year. And to have a lump sum where 4% would be $24,000 a year, that would be $600,000. But we have to take into account something that I think is really important, which is that when I said retire on $2,000, that's a guaranteed $2,000. It's a risk-free $2,000, and the 4% withdrawal on $600,000 is not risk-free. So to account for the risk-free nature of it, we're going to need to bump up that $600,000 to something more like if you set a 3% withdrawal rate, I think the number is $792. So I'm just saying something $600,000 to $800,000 is the lump sum you would need to throw off $2,000 a month, and therefore, I'm basically offering to pay you $600,000 to $800,000 to stop working? That's like one way of viewing this question. And do you want to be paid to stop working? It's a really good option in the sense that the $600,000 net worth you would need, and that's like the minimum to throw off that $2,000 a month, that's in the top 18% of people in the US. So 82% of Americans can't even touch this choice because they don't have $600,000 of net worth. And it's really difficult to build up $600,000. So I don't blame anybody for taking this payoff. Sure, Social Security is a thing, and the average benefit is $13.25 per month. I think that right now the numbers are something like, I think this was from 2010, that people who received Social Security in 2010 got 30% more money than they put in. And I have to say, over 30 years of contributing, 20 or 30 years of contributing, to only get a return of 30% on your money total is horrible. It's terrible. Remember, I showed you before that for a 30-year investing life, the nest egg at the end should be, let's see, it was either 30 or 40 years, I don't remember. But the final nest egg was basically 10 times the amount of money that you put in, right? So with that, you're getting like 1,000% return. So with Social Security, you're getting a 30% overall return on your money. That's horrible. They're just giving your money back to you with a little bit of change. Social Security rant aside, Social Security is going to get worse over time. It's mathematically broken. Millennials can't count on Social Security. But I felt the need to mention it here, but I didn't want to include it in the question because I think the calculation gets too complicated when we talk about that also. All right. The next thing I wanted to point out is if you choose the $4,000 a month option, if you want to retire on $2,000 a month, then you could spend $2,000 a month, work for 16 or 17 more years, and then you would be able to retire on $2,000 a month. If you spend all $4,000, you're never going to retire, and you're going to hit 65 or whatever and be completely broke. I say 65 because maybe that's when you have health problems that prevent you from working more. If your plan is to spend $2,000 a month and save $2,000 a month and retire in 16 or 17 years, why wouldn't you just take the retirement package? Either way, you're going to be spending $2,000 a month the whole time. It's just you're financially independent and not required to go into your job 16 or 17 years earlier, and you have control of, all of that time, that, 8 to 10 hours per weekday for 16 or 17 years. So for me, if that's the scenario, it's a no-brainer to take the retirement deal. Now, let's say you want to spend more than $2,000 of that $4,000 income. Let's say you want to spend $3,000. Well, I'm going to say that, you also want to retire on $3,000 because you're used to that lifestyle now. So you're only saving $1,000 per month. You're now going to need to work for 33 years. And that extra $1,000 a month is about an extra $33 a day. So in that case, you're going to be working 33 years in that job for an extra $33 a day, and you have to ask yourself, is it worth it to me for that spending? All right, so that's it for the financial analysis. I think that's some interesting ways of comparing the numbers and what to think about there. Now I want to talk about time. A recent Gallup poll found that 70% of American workers are disengaged from their jobs. I think the statistics I remember from a different poll said it was a number closer to 80%. And I wanted to point this out because I wanted to point out that if someone says to me, "But Lewis, I like my job," and and I see no reason to stop, and I would prefer to receive $4,000 a month. Okay, fair enough. If you're going to work for these 33 years and only save $1,000 a month and be able to spend $3,000 instead of $2,000, you love your job. Okay, that's fine. I just want to point out that's not most people, and you're a very lucky person. And this 66% of people who are choosing the $4,000 in the money, I don't believe that this is like a statistical anomaly where all of these people are in, the 30% of people who are engaged with their job. Some of these people are not engaged with their job, they just like the money. So yeah, 70% are not engaged with their jobs, don't particularly like their jobs. And I want to ask the question, what could you do with your time if you didn't have to go into work and get that money? One thing when I began thinking about early retirement is I began to think about what would I want to do in early retirement and why. And I think a lot of people, me included, have the experience that time seems to go faster the older that we get. And I did some research one day on how can I make time go slower, because if I'm going to buy my time and have financial independence, I want to know how to slow that thing down. I don't want to feel like it's going like really fast. I want to be able to savor it and enjoy it. And so what I found when I did the research is that novel experiences slow time down. The more weird new experiences we have, the more of them we remember, and the passage of time gets slower and we feel like we have more life. If you're going into the same job every day, doing the same thing, are you having those novel experiences, or is time just passing quickly? I also just wanted to point out, think about what could you do with your time if you didn't have to go into work. I think a lot of people don't spend much time thinking about the details of alternative ways they could live. Is there a cause that you're particularly passionate about where you wish you could just raise money for it all day long? Or is there a novel that you've always wanted to write? Do you want to coach a soccer team? Or learn how to play guitar? Or just hang out more with friends? Do you get enough exercise now? Do you want to be able to stop what you're doing and go work at 3 p.m.? How much time are you spending commuting right now? Would you prefer to not spend that time in your car? Or how much time do you spend shaving your face? And would you prefer not to drag a razor over your face every day? So I'd like you to spend some time thinking about that. Obviously not right now, but put it on your calendar. Think about it as you go to bed tonight. Think about it later. There are 2 articles I'm going to post in the description. One of them shows you kind of like, statistically speaking, when you're likely to retire, when you're likely to die, and where you are right now on a long timeline. That's nice. And the other one is going to show you kind of visually how much of your life has already passed and how much time you have for different things. How much time do you have with your parents? How much time, in terms of the percentage of all the time you're ever going to have with your parents, do you have left? These are important things to think about when we're planning our life, because we don't want to look back with regret and see that we didn't spend our time, this one shot that we have, in the way that we wanted to. So that's all I've got for time analysis. So I've talked about money and time so far. Dave Ramsey has a quote: "Live like no one else so that later you can live like no one else." Actually, he says you can live and give like no one else. Philanthropy is a big part of his plan. He talks about cars in this way too. He says, you drive like no one else now. In other words, you drive a crappy beater car so that later you can drive like no one else. So you can drive a Porsche or a Ferrari or a BMW, whatever it is that you're into. And this statement, it's consumption oriented. right? Consume less now so that later you can consume more than anybody else. And what I've found is that mainstream personal finance and most people, they tend to early on get sucked into personal finance by the idea that they can be wealthy. And the appeal of being wealthy at that point is having these nice, expensive things. In fact, someone I know from high school started a financial advisory service for people with the word Versailles in it. Versailles, as in, Louis XIV's ridiculous gold palace mansion thing. With these glass chandeliers and these crazy gold things and all this art on the ceiling. And I mean, I look at that, I'm like, can you imagine having to dust that thing? But it's a crazy room. And before we think about dusting it, we're like, yeah, maybe I want to have dinner in there. And then we think about dusting it, and we're like, no, I don't want to mess with that. Ain't nobody got time to dust all those chandeliers. And teenage guys have sports cars on the walls of their bedroom. And, I've always wanted a big house. I've had dreams about having big houses. I think as time has gone on, I've seen how much time it can take to maintain a big house, and that's make it less appealing, but I still can't get rid of my feelings around it. I went on a walk today, and there's someone who owns a Lotus, and it's about like this in their driveway, and I've probably taken a picture of it 4 times just because I'm like, ooh, shiny thing, take a picture. And, this stuff is cool. And, but what I've seen is that over time, I've been paid more and more, and I've advanced in my career, and I've bought some nice stuff. So I think this is really the thing that taught me the lesson about stuff. This is a really nice yo-yo, and I bought it when I was making like half of what I make now, and it's built by a machine shop in Italy that makes parts for professional racing cars. It's a titanium yo-yo, press fit copper inserts, custom machined axle. It's all done in a CNC, computer numeric control, lathe, ceramic concave ball bearing, silicone response. It is about the nicest way to manufacture a yo-yo that I can think of manufacturing a yo-yo. It cost $550. I dinged it on the parking lot outside Google, so it's got a big old scratch in it now. And I loved it when I bought it, and I love it now. It's a really cool yo-yo. And for me, this is like the sports car. This is like, 10 times more expensive than really nice yo-yos that you can buy and win competitions with. So this is kind of like my sports car. It doesn't cost as much as this, but in my universe of really enjoying yo-yos, I've got my Ferrari of a yo-yo. And what I've been able to observe over time is that my overall life happiness before and after owning this yo-yo is not significantly different. And this kind of taught me the lesson of like, okay, material upgrades in these different things, whether it's a car or a home or a yo-yo or food, yes, they're nice things. And for sure, we should have some of them. But money, pouring them into stuff like this, it's not going to get us where we want to go. There's diminishing returns, and the diminishing returns happen kind of sooner than we think. And once I really internalized that, because I actually had the money to buy this stuff, and I bought some of the stuff, and I just realized it didn't go anywhere, then once it's real, you stop looking at the money. You stop thinking about the money because you know that the money and the expenditure isn't going to get you where you want to go. So you have to think of some other way to get where you want to go. Now, many times that other thing that you think will get you there, whether it's having a family or whether it's starting a business or whether it's being able to, stop working early so that you can spend more time tending a garden, whatever that is, money may have a role in achieving that thing. But once you know what that thing is and you spend some time thinking about it, that thing that isn't money is what you want. And if you can find a way to get there and have it without going the money route, by going some other route, then you'll take that other route because you know that's what you want and you feel it. And so I think that this is where people get as they go along the money-making kind of journey, is once you have some success and you have more income, you quickly realize, okay, now I have the income I've dreamed of, and yet the spending isn't getting me where I want to go. And at that point, you switch over from this kind of personal finance, make more money, Versailles, consumption-oriented idea to a more achieve my goal type of idea, which often involves freeing up your time. And to free up your time, you need to get financial independence, which means you need to be able to pay your bills and own your time. And frequently you can get there faster for a lot of different reasons by decreasing expenditure. So these two articles I wanted to link, this one crazy guy who spends $7,000 a year, another crazy guy who's spending less than 10% of his income, and it's, something like $24,000 a year, $30,000 a year, and then a bit extra. I'm just going to let you read those articles and evaluate it for yourself. This is Mr. Money Mustache. As far as I can tell, he's pretty ecstatic about his life. Seems to have a nice life. He can lift weights whenever he wants to, keep his body healthy. He can install radiant heating in his home when he wants to because he doesn't have to work a job, so he can just start on that project and begin cutting boards. He likes home construction projects. If he wants to go on a bike ride with a buddy, he can just go out and do it. And he started a family right when he retired around age 30, and he can spend all the time that he wants with them because he doesn't have a job to go into every day. So these are representations I'm giving you of this guy doing the things that he wants to do with his life. And certainly money enables him to do these things, but a low expenditure is what enabled him to start doing this when he was 30 instead of 60. And I think that as you look more and more into personal finance, and as you look more and more deeply into this question of how you want to manage money and what you want to do with your life, people will tend to arrive at the same conclusion as these guys. That's my opinion, and that's what's happened for me. We don't have that much time on Earth. All right. I wish I could tell you everyone has this choice of whether to make $4,000 a year working a job or take a $2,000 retirement. But the truth is that there will come a day when we no longer have a $4,000, sorry, did I say a year, $4,000 a month? There will come a time when we don't have the $4,000 a month job option because health issues take it away from us. We can't control that. We have finite lifespans and our bodies are going to break down despite whatever we want. Even though someday we won't have that choice, we do have the choice now to give ourselves the $2,000 a month retirement. If you're 45 or younger, according to the investment math, you still have the opportunity to grow the $600,000 net worth necessary for that $2,000 a month retirement in 20 years. And I guess the final thing I want to say is, for all the people who picked this, $4,000 a month job option, I like working a lot, and I happen to like my job a lot. And if you're in the minority of people, you know, the 30%, I guess, who are, where is that? 30%, yeah, who are engaged with their job, then fantastic. You're lucky, and I understand your choice. What I wanted to do with this video was not to lay out a judgment on anybody who picked one option or the other. All I wanted to do was to talk about these options and factors that surround the question so that you either understand more about your choice or you understand more about why you would want to switch choices and take the other option. Because the goal at the end of the day is not to pick one option or the other. It's to pick the right option for you personally, and to understand why that's the right option for you, and just understand more about the whole thing. All right, we're done. Video number 39. Made myself a smoothie earlier. It's blackberry, banana, etc. Excited about it. Gonna go drink that now. Have a fantastic night. Thanks for watching.